All right. Hey, Jen.
Hey,
Nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a while, huh?
no, not like this. We haven't seen each other in person or just kind of just seeing your actual face. It's been a while. I mean,
You
normally we
know,
chat on the phone.
we don't really do virtual
Why don't we?
time in our family. Do you FaceTime?
Yeah.
With who?
Um, some of my nine sisters and
Is
yeah,
that
we
the word we're
FaceTime.
going with?
I don't know
I
who
was
all this.
thinking about that. I'm like, I think I'm gonna call mine my sins. I don't know if I'm gonna do that line, brother. I don't know about that
I'm trying to be
one.
politically correct because I don't know who all is going to see this. I don't want it to be an issue.
Well, yeah, they'll be all right.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I don't FaceTime with anybody at all
Oh
because
yeah. A couple of my sins and just different people I FaceTime with. It actually makes the call um more personable, I guess. I mean,
really,
even though well, because you're probably thinking of it in a work context because there's so much, whatever. But when you know that it's not work, it's yeah.
I like to walk and talk, and it's hard to do when you're holding a phone, I guess. And I don't have an iPhone. So
Oh yeah.
I want to be clear that, I believe that Apple doesn't need to know everything. That I already have a Mac and an iPad. I don't need an iPhone too. That's just way too much information for one group of people. But anyway, I think we're supposed to introduce ourselves in any way we want to. So I will let you go first. Any name you any name you want to use. Um, any, I don't know, age if you want to tell it. Any, do you
Okay.
know things about your age? Do you have like, do you make
No,
yourself younger? Like, are you
never.
39 in the streets?
No, no, no. First of all, I'm very proud, of my age when, you consider, some of your peers or whatever that are no longer here.
Yeah.
But I think a part of it is from, the household that we grew up to. That age is not that was never a thing. Like our parents didn't put their age back.
They did. I know
Especially,
mom didn't. You don't think dad put his age back?
I don't think he put his age back. I think he did try to hold on to youth as long as possible. More than Ma, who, gradually or gracefully, reached, maturity or, maturation, whatever. But yeah, so no, that's not an issue for me. So with that being said, my name is Janice. I'm a native Detroiter. I've lived in a few other cities throughout my adulthood, but returned back to the Metro Detroit area. And so this is where I've been since the early 90s. I am 59, very proud of that fact. Not only because I think it's a blessing and a joy to, you know, experience every age you can possibly, but also being a cancer survivor, I definitely appreciate the opportunity to still be among the land of the living, as the old folks say.
I gotta learn. My undergrad major was TV, radio, and film production. I gotta learn how to do like some gimmicks, like confetti on some good parts. Like I would have did confetti right there. That's a big one. So I am, Ernest is a name I don't really go by. Hardly anybody calls me that except at work. That's how I know when they call on the phone, it's a work person. But for the purposes of this, I'll be Ernest today, or Ern more so, because
Yeah.
you call me Ern.
I call you Ernest. And as you were talking about, name preferences, based on where I was in my life, I people call me certain things.
Yeah, yeah,
One particular, as you know, I can't stand.
I do know that. I do know that.
Yes, even though people insist on calling me that, I don't. But for the most part, everybody calls me. Okay, I don't know what happened.
I can hear you.
Oh, but I don't know how I lost you.
Oh,
Oh, wait. Don't you love computers? Oh, there we go. Ah,
okay.
ta-da!
I didn't lose you at all, by the way.
Oh, okay, very good. Okay, but you had to see the look of horror on my face.
Yeah, something was happening over there. Where's the dog? I thought maybe the dog was around or something.
No. So yeah, so for the most part, everybody calls me Janice. Um, you know, uh, my real good friends,
Mhm.
um, and family call me Jan. And then there are some people that are insistent on calling me,
Yeah, yeah.
Jab, which I hate that.
I'm
Do
surprised.
not call. That's a I always say that people that don't love me call me Jab because you are clearly are not close enough to me to know that that gets under my skin. So do not call me that.
I only hate Ernie. That's the only name that I hate.
Oh
Will
yeah.
not answer
Does anybody call you that though?
people usually. Hey,
Oh
Ernie, I just keep on walking. I'm like, that's not my,
yeah.
I didn't approve
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah,
not the name.
and even though Jan is acceptable to me, like if I don't know you,
Hmm.
like I takes like we're not close enough for you to take liberties with my name. So like where's that coming from? So
Right.
I get it.
Um, two of my sayings, see, I got a chance to use it. Two of my sayings call call me Ernie. I think they have a friend named Ernie. I haven't checked them on it because I don't really talk to them that much. But I was just like, I'm gonna let this slide for now.
Oh,
But we're gonna have to put a halt to that. I'm like,
yeah,
no, I don't like that at all. But I'm
yeah.
57 because I didn't say that. And I'm proud to be 57. I enjoy getting older. I've been wanting to
Hmm.
be older, as you know, my entire life. I've never
Hmm.
liked being a kid. And the older I
Yeah,
get, I just think it's just better.
yeah.
And I'm a native Detroiter. People could possibly assume that because we're siblings.
But
But
that's
you
not
never know.
that's not always the case.
You
That's
never
true.
know. So I'm a
Yeah.
native Detroiter as well, but I left a long time ago and I've never been back.
All right.
So that's who we are.
That's who we are. The
That's who we
blacks.
are. And speaking of Detroit and all of all of its goodness, what did you most enjoy growing up? What did you really like about growing up in Detroit? Or just growing up? What was the best thing that you
Well, you know what? So you know, I don't know if it's the best thing, but definitely things that I liked one, the era that we grew up in,
yeah,
because that's when you had friends, like your school friends were your good friends and your neighborhood friends. Like it was so much community. Not to say that we don't have that now, it's totally different. But I just recently went to um, a leadership conference sponsored by this organization that I'm in.
so for the people who are going to watch this, we're kind of feeling out how we want to say something, but we don't know how much to say, as we proceed. So that's why we're laughing here. So I think everybody already figured out that we're Greek, though.
You think so?
Yeah, because we had lines.
Oh, well, we said lines. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. So, with that being said, so I was at this conference that my sorority just recently had, And I got the chance actually to see some of the people that I grew up with, and it was like, oh, those were good times. Like, you really I don't know that you get to have friends like that. Like the friends, they're different, but that's the part of your life where you're like carefree and you're not worried about anything. Like it's just being friends. So
So you saw
that,
people you went to elementary school with at your sorority's conference?
yes.
I never see people from elementary school.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. I did have that opportunity. Um, so
Oh, wow. That's
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. So if you could give your younger self some advice, what would you give?
Be better with money.
Um,
be
that was
be
quick.
yeah, be better with money. And I mean, depending on which era or decade we're talking about, I
Mhm.
also would tell myself, don't work so hard. um you know if you work hard, then play hard as well. I don't
Yeah,
know, that's definitely something that I would say to my younger self. It's like, you need to take a vacation on a regular basis.
yeah,
You need to take care of yourself on a regular basis. So
yeah.
those things in particular.
I would say, and this is going to be a deep one, be
Oh
fly.
Lord, here we go.
Yeah. If you're fly already, just be fly. Don't dim your light for other people. That is
I
so
absolutely, yeah,
bad.
yeah, that's a good
I've
one.
dimmed my light for other people so they
Absolutely.
just because they felt bad or they didn't want you to or you're too much or that's their
Yeah,
problem, not mine.
yeah, go ahead and be too much. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. And so if I had it to do over again, I just would have stayed too much
Yeah.
about my business. I look at it sometimes. I'm like, I probably could have been a different person being too much. Who knows where I could have
Yeah.
gone with that. But I decided to, you know, be
Yeah, but this is where I do believe that, in destiny, and, despite what roads we take, whether it's a road like we get off track or whatever, I think that you eventually end up where you're supposed to be.
I would like to say that's true. I believe in my soul that that's true.
Yeah.
But I wish that there was something that could tell you if you were right.
Yeah.
Like did I make the right decision here, or would I have ended up here anyway? Even if I had
Well,
something
yeah. I
different.
mean,
But
I ultimately believe that, yeah, where you are is, I think that sometimes we don't take the road that we're supposed to. But yeah, I think ultimately you get to the place that you are supposed to be, especially if you learn the lessons that you were supposed to learn. So,
yeah,
so yeah, that's I think it's definitely, you are where you're supposed to be.
the idea is to learn a lesson every time you do something. I
Right.
very often we don't learn a lesson. If you don't learn a lesson because you do it again. You do the
True.
same thing again.
True. True.
Um, so yeah, I think ultimately you want to learn that lesson and just become. But what I remember most about growing up, I don't know if it was carefree because I don't know if I had the same carefree you that you did even growing up in the same house. I'm like, I don't know what that was all about. But I think what I like, I think what I like the most, and I didn't really understand it until I was an adult, was that it was very nurturing.
Hmm.
Just life in general. So home was nurturing, school was nurturing, the grocery store was nurturing. It was
Well,
just
I mean,
everything was just
Yeah, I think we're saying the same thing.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
just using different words or seeing it from it, but basically the same thing. So, like, no, I mean, we know it wasn't totally clear carefree,
No.
but yes, that sense of community, like I don't know, you know, I've experienced that, but like in so many different areas all at the same time, I don't know that I've had that
Yeah.
since I was a child.
Yeah. I wonder if it's just us growing up in Detroit or if that's everybody who grows up, if everybody thinks the same thing, like, oh, my childhood was really nurturing. Mine was, and I really enjoyed it. I really,
Yeah.
really,
Yeah,
really,
like you had your teachers, your Sunday school teachers, the people on the block, the person at the candy store, the you
everybody.
know,
Oh, there
like
was a candy
everybody.
store. Remember the
Yeah.
candy store?
Yes, 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 yes,
Is there
yes.
still such a thing? I don't think there's a candy store
Mm,
anymore.
First of all, we used to take a quarter and go buy candy,
Yeah,
but
that's how everybody knows that we're old.
this is true.
Because we took a
Yeah,
quarter. Where we
yeah.
get a quarter from? First of all, I don't know, even know where we got
But
a
we
quarter
Well, you know what I was gonna say? Remember how Ma used to have that little change, you know,
from. Oh yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
she would go and get the little change for when we wanted ice cream or whatever.
yeah, yeah. Do you ever see the ice cream man or a person or a truck?
No, no,
Oh, so we have an ice cream truck that comes down my block. I think because
really?
children who live on this block.
Okay.
And it's probably the first time since my own children that children have lived on this block. Like, and it's a
Hmm.
lot of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and the new next generation, I guess, is coming in, and they have these kids, and you'll see them running to go get money. I'm like, oh, I used to do that.
Yes, like the ice cream man, the ice cream man, the ice cream man.
The ice cream man drove extra slow
Very
because
much
we had
so,
time to go in, run down the block, run in
or
the
not.
beg your mother for something, a quarter,
Yes, like you got to
a
beg her
dime,
first.
a dollar,
Like, please, please, please,
something.
please. Can I
Listen to
please have
her
some
argue
money?
with you, finally give you the money, run back down the block, and the ice cream man was still there.
Still there, yes. He was no dummy. He would
So, what do you enjoy the most about getting older?
that question. I mean, I, I mean, not to sound deep, I guess, or anything like that, but it's not that I enjoy it more, but I think I'm just at a place where I'm okay with me. Like, unapologetically, being me, not really caring about like what people think of what I think or how I look or how clearly I don't care about that. But
Oh, you look
um
nice, though.
huh?
You look nice. What do you mean? You mean because you have a shaved head?
Yes, because I wear the
Oh,
shaved head. Yeah.
oh.
So, and I know that that's very daunting for people, especially our parents.
How many
But
people talking about that?
well, so they talk about it in code, but not directly, and that's only because of the cancer that they won't say it like they used to. Like, back in the day, remember in the 80s when I wore my hair really short and they
Yeah,
hated it, like
yeah,
they hated it. And even in the 90s when I was wearing it natural and I had the ball
okay,
fade,
yeah.
they hated it. So it's still the same. However, what they'll say is like, so um, are you going back to the dermatologist?
Did your mother take you wig shopping yet?
Like,
You know that's
so
that.
yeah, I've heard like, so you go out without covering your head? Yes,
It's
yes, I do. I absolutely do. Yes.
nice
So
though.
So, I mean, and it took me, honestly, it took me a while to get here because even before, the cancer diagnosis, I had struggled with if I was going to let go of my hair because it was such a struggle anyway. Now I don't feel that struggle. I feel like this actually is me. It's very liberating and so yeah. I mean, but not just even like the look, but just like, you know, what I want to wear. I don't, or how I think or how I want to perceive my next steps in my next, part of life. Like not really being concerned like about like what people think per se and that not influence like you can tell me your thoughts, but it doesn't have the impact. I think I'm at a place now where I can just be, just be me. How what you were saying earlier about being that fly. Just if you
Yeah,
fly, just go ahead and be fly.
yeah. I
That's
think
where I am.
everybody should, just be fly.
Yeah, just be fly.
Because most people want you to not be fly.
The young people are wondering like, what does fly
Oh,
mean?
what is fly? I don't know if any young people would listen to this, but I don't know how to explain fly. It just is. I mean, it's just your best you,
Yeah,
just being your best you and just because most people just don't want you to excel. I guess that's a word I could use for it. They just
right.
want you to fit the mold of what everybody
Hmm.
else is doing. And I don't think I've ever fit the mold of what everybody else is doing.
Well, and here's the thing. I don't think that was, even though I may have crushed myself to do that, it never was a comfortable place for me.
Yeah, I did it once or twice, and it's not healthy. Well, it
No,
wasn't
it's
healthy
not.
for me. I see
No.
people do it all the time, and you're wondering, why are you doing this? Because I can see that you're fly, but
Yeah.
why are you making
Like
yourself?
dumbing yourself down so
Yeah,
that you can fit into the majority thought or whatever, or
yeah.
what
So that
what people say you should be doing.
right, right. Um, so yeah, I've been there a time or two. And as you know, I never really, and being a child for me was not fun. So I'm contradicting what I just said earlier. I said it was nurturing,
Yeah, you said it was nurturing.
but it wasn't necessarily fun because I didn't want to be a child. I feel that people don't listen to children, people don't take them seriously. And I always felt that I was a person who needed to be taken seriously, even at 5 or 6 years old.
But yeah, you were a personality for sure.
So, I was with my Sands last week at our convention, and a lot of the talk was about, you know, me having always been this way since they've known me very,
Hmm.
um, I guess, serious, even though I'm not a serious person. I just don't play. So there's a difference between joking around and not playing. So
Right.
I'm just not a person to play. But I do joke around. We joke around all the time. I only joke
Yes.
around with two people, though. Not all, not all the people I know. Only you and my best friend do I joke around with. Um, everybody else thinks I'm really like quite mean.
Bridget, yeah, that's me
Yeah,
too.
yeah, Rich.
Yeah.
And say stuff that bothers me, like, "Oh, you should just loosen up a bit." I got this far by doing this, so why don't you let me do this and you go do what you're gonna do?
Hmm.
I don't tell you to, you might want to rigid it up a little bit. So anyway, the best part to me about getting older, it's not that, you know, I don't care because I don't think I've cared what people said for decades.
Hmm.
Even as a teenager, I don't think I cared.
Yeah, I think that's where you and I kind of differ.
Yeah, yeah. But I do enjoy getting older because I'm more comfortable.
Mhm.
just with everything. Just life is comfortable. For me, life is great. This
Okay.
the whole life that I dreamed about when we were growing up, except, in my vision back in those days, my house was bigger. Because, I grew up in Detroit, and Detroit has a lot of two-story houses. So
Yeah, yeah.
in my vision, I lived in Sherwood Forest.
Okay.
So, I don't know what Sherwood Forest looks like today, but that's where I imagined living when we were growing up. I don't know how I was going to deal with all that snow, but anyway. So that's how I feel about getting older. I enjoy getting older, actually. I really enjoy it. And as you know, I'm looking forward to retirement, so that's another story for
Yes, that's another story. Yeah, absolutely.
um so let me ask you this. As you're getting older, do you ever find the need to make new friends? Because friends are funny, right? I mean, we have friends for a season. Like I had my Chicago friends. I had friends from college. I had friends when I was a teacher. So friends can be situational.
Yeah, but okay. So so I'm gonna say no.
No.
I don't feel the need to get new friends. I mean, there are um newer people that come into my life that I might hang out with, and those I guess are more my kind of situational, you know, people. But like my ride or die friends have been my friends for 30, 40, 50, years. I don't, you know, I don't really feel like I need any new friends per se, which doesn't mean I'm not opposed to, you know, building a new friendship or something like that. But it would be different because you got to be a long, like I got to know you for a while before
Yeah.
you're like in my inner circle, like hearing, not just my dreams, but the stuff that, keeps me awake at night. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that wouldn't be somebody that I just met today.
Right.
Although, we might, be able to go out to lunch or dinner or, the movies or something like that. But yeah, like, yeah, you so yeah, the short answer is no, I don't feel like
See, I'm extremely active. So I
right.
bike ride, I hike, I, you know, pickleball, which, I have a friend who told me, that's how everybody's getting hurt nowadays. And I'm like, yeah, yeah. But, so I'd like to be very active, and most of my friends do not. you
Okay.
know, and I did ask friends a few years ago. I'm like, well, what do you think? What do you do for fun? Without a doubt, almost everyone said one of two things: either church or happy hour.
Okay, that's
So they're sinning during
and I'm
the week.
sure some of them did some of them say both because
Yep, most of them said both.
yeah.
So they're sinning during the week, but they're repenting on Sunday. So I didn't, as I was trying to find things to do and be active, I was trying to find things to do with people. And, that didn't work out. So I do a lot of the stuff by myself. And of course, you find other people, doing it as well. Like you might be out riding your bike and you see other people riding solo and you get to know people, etc. Pickleball
Right.
is a good one, even though it's still largely white, even though they play it not too far from me. Um, so I'm, just trying to get to know people who like to do the same things that you do, but I like
Right.
to do
Yeah.
a lot of different things,
You're
so
right.
I'm active, but I also like, concerts, even though I haven't been to any. since the pandemic. I like live music and
Mhm.
traveling and stuff like that. So, and that's what I mean also about being comfortable because that means I can afford it. Like, I
Yeah.
remember being in my 20s, I couldn't afford nothing. Oh, I couldn't afford anything, just nothing at all. So I really enjoy, getting older as we start getting older. Any disadvantages of getting older?
Uh, I mean, I mean, there are, you're more likely to have health issues, but honestly, I don't know if it's a disadvantage, but it's definitely a thing. It's like being caught between your aging parents
Yeah,
and your aging children.
adults. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not a disadvantage, it's just different. As you see, I mean, when we were like in our 20s, 30s, 40s, you had an idea of what this time would look like, and it doesn't look like that at all. It
No,
doesn't.
it doesn't look how I thought it would look. Um, First of all, I thought I'd be, free. Like, I wouldn't have to do anything for anyone
Right,
at this age. And because I didn't feel like anyone had done anything for me at those ages.
right.
Um, Now, I'm sure there are people in our family who will say that they did.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's true. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there. Um, but I feel like, I thought, being at this age, first of all, I'm surprised I'm still working. Who knew at
Yes, who
15
know?
that you would be working at 57? I thought people
Yes.
were done working by that.
Yeah, 30 and out. Like, what?
Yeah. Why are we still here doing this every
Why we still working? Yes.
Yeah, I think I have an attitude every time I go into the office. Ugh, why am I here? Why do I have to be here? I'm too old for this. So that's going to be my new saying at work. I'm too old for this. Um, we'll see how long I keep my job if I could keep saying that.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Your face says I shouldn't say that at work. Let's
Well,
try again.
no, 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 no. I'm not saying that you shouldn't say it at work. You just need to be careful of the words that you put out in the universe.
Okay, let me figure out how to say that in a more positive way that will bring me good fortune.
Yes, that's all I'm saying.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I think we're almost at the end. Um, we have a few more questions to go through.
Okay.
Um, and these are our rapid fire questions that we're going to do at the end of every episode. Number one, up to this point, what is the one word that you would use to describe your life?
Blessed.
Okay, all right, I see you.
Blessed. Yeah.
I will go with fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah. What is the best thing that you have ever done?
Become a mother.
Okay. Okay. Would that be cheating or biting, as we used to say? If I said being a father, because
No.
I was really gonna say Paris, but I was like, oh yeah, I do have done that. Because I enjoyed when we went to Paris. That was really,
I
really
do. Even back then, that was, which is still my goal. Like, I want to go now that I'm older, I want to go again to really appreciate, not that I didn't appreciate it then, but to really, really take in and appreciate, all that Paris has to offer.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I would ever go back to Paris. There's so many other
Well,
cities and countries that I want to see that
I probably would want to do something else, with that, but I definitely would want to make a Paris stop.
any regrets.
I mean, none that I'm willing to put on the air, Your Honor.
So I always say I don't have any regrets because, that whole thing of going back in the past and changing your past then changes your future. If that's a thing, I don't know. Because I wouldn't want to risk having life be any different than it is now.
Yeah, I
You
mean, I get it. And yeah, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier about like you are where you're supposed to be, like
yeah.
all that stuff. So, yeah, but I can't say that I don't have any regrets. I have many.
I don't have
However, huh,
any.
huh.
I think I probably, if I had to, well, what I'm gonna say is this. I should have bought that condo in Chicago when I had the opportunity for $40,000. That's downtown and had life built around it, and I could be rich right now. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I guess my biggest one, um, it's all kind of tied together. I mean, so one of the biggest ones is when I got married when I was still living in Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
That's a huge regret for me. Um, there are others that I won't,
Okay.
but that's one.
It, so we decided to do this podcast, however we decide to put it out there in the world. Um, and there's some parts of your life so there's some parts of my life that are just for me, like
Right.
nobody knows, not my best friend or worst enemy. It's just me. My best friend talks about it a lot. Like you always hiding something. I'm not hiding anything. It's just for me. In essence, it's nobody's business but mine.
Yeah.
So doing this type of thing, we're kind of opening that up a little bit.
I
uh,
know, right?
I know, for people who don't share a whole lot to be sharing like this.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
that being said, do you have anything else to say for this episode?
No, unless you got another rapid fire
No,
question to
that
ask.
was the last rapid fire
Well, you know what?
question.
But we didn't really, like we're calling this the Blacks from Washburn. We really didn't talk about Washburn at all.
You know what? I feel like we have a chance to talk about Washburn, later or in upcoming episodes. But what do you want to say about Washburn?
I don't know.
The one thing I will say about Washburn is that house was tiny. I didn't realize how tiny that house was until I was an adult.
Well, we only had one bathroom, so that,
But as a kid, it seemed huge. Like this is a big house. It had, floors and etc. Floors meaning upstairs, downstairs.
yeah,
But to me, it was huge.
no, it's a tiny house.
But Washburn, I outgrew Washburn was a before I became a teenager. I had already outgrown Washburn, meaning the whole block.
Oh, I could see that.
So once I went to fifth or sixth grade, I didn't even do anything on that block anymore. I
Well,
didn't.
think about it. I mean, like by that time, you were no longer going to school with any of the neighborhood kids anymore.
Correct. And
I
then
mean, and even though I was in one of those special or whatever, schools, I still was going to school with some neighborhood kids.
So we want instead of we're because we don't want people to think you were in the special school. We want to call it a magnet school.
So
You
I since I was in a magnet school, not it wasn't special education,
not
although
that
there's
anything's wrong
nothing
with
wrong with that. I would, nothing wrong with it, but no, yes,
that. Yeah,
I was.
yeah, I was outgrowing them even when I was at our elementary school. I just had bigger dreams than what that block I think could offer me.
Well, but well, let me say this. I think that part of it was the time, meaning the era that we were in.
Hmm.
I mean, the goal of most Black folks during that time was to get a good job.
Yeah,
And then eventually, in order to get a good job, you needed to go to college.
yeah.
I mean, it really wasn't anything more than that. It was basic like that.
And I knew I was going to college, but the whole get a good job thing to me was subjective. It was relative. So I knew I wanted to do stuff, but it didn't necessarily translate into a job.
Right.
So that's just kind of where I was. So maybe next time we'll talk more about Washburn and good stuff because I don't want the people from Washburn being all mad that I said I screwed them. They would be calling you because they don't have my number, but
I don't think they have my number either. It'll be on Facebook or something like that.
so that's
Like,
not what I mean. Anybody from
your brother said, I saw your little podcast.
when black people are trying to get at you, they call everything little. I see you with your little car over there. Okay, Jessica, that's it for today.
Okay.
Bye, everybody. This was pretty fun. I can't wait
Bye.
for the next ones. Bye. How did I start
Uh,
this? I can't remember how I started the. Okay.